edition of Mr.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode. I don't have my camera again today. I know you guys like the camera, but I just didn't want to do it today. I was setting it up and just like, they don't need to see the camera. They want to have my big beautiful screen. They want to see what's going on with the markets. They don't need to see my face describing things. Now, if you're unhappy with that, you can leave a comment saying you're unhappy. I don't know how many people are going to be here. We all are also starting about 30 minutes late, but I had to mess with my thumbnail a little bit. I didn't like the art style. I gave up in the end, and you can see it doesn't match the previous ones, but it's okay. It's okay. Nobody's perfect here. Yeah. So it's been quite the week, huh? This is a historic rally. I admit last week I thought we'd get a little bit more of a pullback here, but it looks like we're just continuing higher. I mentioned caution here. I said this wasn't the time to add, but if you were already in longs, you didn't necessarily have to take profits. So you could just continue riding it higher. And I thought it was a good idea to basically buy some puts to protect yourself and if you're going to keep your spot longs. And for me, for the most part, that's what I did. And I'm quite long still. I am still holding significantly long. We are always happy to see you. Yeah. Now I feel bad not setting up the camera. I should have done it. Sorry, guys. Hello, Zerkella. Hello, Lori. Hello, Gills. Hello, Kitchen and Craft. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for the little bit late start. Hopefully it's not a big deal. I've got a lot I want to talk about today. A lot has happened, obviously, with the China truce and that kind of stuff. Once more people join, I'll do a little spiel on the TRI school too. We're starting on Monday. So if you know anybody that might want to jump in, it's available. And only $9.95, low price. We're keeping it low. We found out that, for a starter course, even though we do the hands-on and we pay our teacher and everything, and I think it's worth way more than $1,000. We found that people don't like over $1,000. So we're keeping it a little bit below that to get as many people in as possible and continue to accomplish Brian's goal of helping as many people as possible learn to trade. So that's just, something I thought I would mention. I'll show it later, but I know what you guys really care about, and that's the market. And you can see how we are following. I don't know why it shows this blue thing. You can see how we're following essentially the roadmap that I've been showing for quite some time now. And we have our major levels here. 1.618 was a rejection and a pause. I thought we would get a little bit more of a rejection, maybe down here. And this was the big tell, by the way. This was the big tell that it was going way higher, was this candle on April 30th. Massive rejection candle, bullish rejection candle, signaling they were running the stops and they were going to move it higher. That's all that was. This was a consolidation right here to get people to go short and thinking that it was going to reverse. And trust me, lots of people went short. People have actually been shorting. I'm in a couple of different discords, and the two other discords I'm in, they've been shorting since here. And they're still trying to short here, which is interesting. And there's a couple of famous traders on Twitter as well that have been shorting still up here. When RSI on a daily chart looks like this, yeah, so Zerkella, I will answer regarding the crypto portfolio shortly. Just let me go through this S&P, what I'm seeing in the S&P and the general market, and then I'll talk about those portfolios. Okay, so this is just a continued bullish momentum. We can look at Bitcoin. I just have this overlay here, but it kind of applies to the M2 as well. Or it kind of applies to S&P as well. You can see how M2 money supply is just continually going up. See how Bitcoin is following it? To me, I thought M2 is kind of a meme, but at the same time, it's just another data point. And this is a data point you don't necessarily want to fight. So this is saying, okay, everyone in the market's been printing money, and the money printing has to go somewhere, and normally it flows into the market. So it looks like if this stays on track, we're not going to get much of a pullback until June 8th. We're getting a little bit of a pause here for the next like 2 or 3 days, and then we're heading higher again. And then we'll get a little bit of a pause through mid-June, and then we'll just head higher. And we might top in July. Who knows? This still hasn't topped. It's consolidating, and it could, the money printing could continue. And on top of that, you've got Trump flying around the world making deals with everybody. I mean, it seems like everything's happy-go-lucky, and it all perfectly coincided with the bad news over here, and then the money printing happening way ahead of time, and now all this good news coming out like clockwork. Every day there's some kind of good news coming out to drive this market higher. And a lot of people are still trying to short this. I think the options market shows this really well. Where are my option charts? Hold on, let me find it. By the way, you guys notice you notice that I don't have a taskbar at the bottom. I did that so you get a nice full screen view, and it, nothing to distract you. So let's go to here, options. So look at options, and I talked about this last week also, and I said when you have an open interest, massive open interest of puts like this, and very small amount of calls, generally the market moves higher. This profile should be balanced. It hasn't been balanced for over 2 weeks now. Not balanced at all. And we've seen what happens. You have a ton of put. Look at all the puts here. Look at this, 100, 200,000 puts, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. Worthless, all worthless. You've got one call at, a bit of calls at 58,000 and some at 40,000. The 40,000 ones at 600 will expire worthless. But a lot of these are going to be in the money. They're in the money. But it's nothing compared to the number of puts that people had here. Like the bearishness was next level. And if we go to like sentiment analysis, I don't really like using this that much. I've been disappointed with it in the past. Why is it not showing me what I want? It's not showing me what I want. Why is it? Investor sentiment analysis. All right, here we go. Yeah, so finally people are turning bullish. But there was bearishness here. April 30th, people were still turbo bearish. And even here, 50% bearish is pretty high. Only now are people starting to turn bullish. But you've still got 44% that are bearish. That's a lot. Historically, that's a lot. And you can see they were max bearish here at the beginning of April. And where were we there at the beginning of April? So right here at the bottom, basically. And they're only starting to sort of turn bullish here. Look at Bitcoin. Is there any? There's a divergence here on MACD, but that's really the only bear sign I have. That's it. That's all I've got. And you can see how the market is just running higher. Let's go back to the options. Hold on. I went on too much of a rant and forgot what I was saying. So let's go back. Like, look at this. Let me see if it shows me the data. So you see how this is even? That's how it should look. What was last Friday was the 9th. Yeah, let's look at that. So same here. I talked about this last week. You can go look at the show last week. We have a huge amount of puts and very little calls. Look at these puts. It's crazy. Very little calls. And then again here, very little calls, tons of puts. And let's go to next week. What is next week's date? The 23rd. Look at that. It's actually quite small, but it's still relatively small number of puts compared to calls. And you can see put to call ratio is 4. So you've got 4x the number of, 4x the amount of open interest in puts compared to calls. It's just, this is absurd. Same here, 2.6. Okay, when does this normalize? Here, still. Okay, a little bit of normalization here, but there's barely anything open, so I'm not gonna give it too much credit. There we go. Still a ton of puts compared to calls. Well, actually, wait a second. We've only got almost a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, nothing there, no data. Okay, so finally, at the end of June, it starts to kind of normalize. We've got normalization by the end of June. So let's go back to the chart. Let's look at our M2. I said the end of June, right? Did I say the end of June? Yeah, end of June, right? When does M2 stop basically going up? Right here, essentially around the end of June, right? This is after this, it's kind of flattened out. So, and that looks like it's also at the same time, conveniently, when people gave up on buying puts. They didn't want to go any further out than here. So you just keep the market going up until then, and then everything normalizes and will stabilize. That's what options are telling me right now, at least the open interest market. M2 is telling me we're just going to keep going higher. I think everyone wants a pullback. Even Ucha said maybe we will get some pullback. Ucha, did you say that because you're hoping we'll get a pullback because you want to buy in and you're sidelined? I think probably a ton of people are sidelined here. I know that, you know, bless my mom, but I know when we were down here, she called me freaking out and she said she was selling like 30% of her 401k to cash. And I told her, don't do that. And she should actually be buying. And she didn't listen to me because she hates Trump. And the market rallied. She still didn't buy back. And I'm pretty sure here she still hasn't bought back. So that is an indication of what like normal people were doing. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's going to give you a chance. Like what on this daily chart is bearish? Can anyone name something that they see on this daily chart that indicates bearishness? Again, focusing on the daily chart. I don't care about the lower time frames. Don't tell me about some 1 hour chart. Anyone? What is bearish here? And yet, how many people here want the market to pull back? Who desperately would like a pullback? Only Kevin is talking. Nobody else is talking. I only have 20 viewers. So, yeah. Willie's stupid. Okay, and Brian always says that like Willie can stay stupid for a very long time, right? I forget that you guys are delayed. Like you don't hear what I'm saying until maybe a minute later. Yeah, you guys would love an entry. Yeah, so that makes sense, right? I don't think you're gonna get an entry. Like I exited some stuff here, and then we did this, and I FOMO back in some things here. Now, if we do this, that's fine. I'll just buy back in. But let's look at the last time the market did something like this. That was every time the market's done some crazy rally. So here's 2023. We had, imagine this kind of pullback when I have 45 plus. You're only in 25%, 20%. Wow, that's it. That's very low. Yeah, I mean, not financial advice, but I've been saying to buy, like, don't even, just wait till we get to Tesla. I've been saying to buy Tesla for like 3 months. Please tell me that 20% is in Tesla at least. So look at what happened here. We went straight up. How much? What percent? From the bottom, we went up 27%. And never once did we go below the 21 EMA. Like that's the maximum pullback you got until it really rolled over. So here, we're moving even faster. Now, if you want buying opportunities, okay, look at the 9 and then 21 EMA. So here at 5,800, and then here at basically like 5,700. Those are kind of your buying opportunities. It's risky to chase up here. I mean, if we go to lower time frames, right? Like everything's still in an uptrend. There's no breakdown yet for me. You need to see a breakdown here. There's nothing. But we have been doing that. We've been going up for a long time, and we could keep going up for a while. We will pause here. When we get to the 6,000 area, there will be a big pause. And how much more upside do you have there? You've got about 1.6%. It's not much. Main move already happened, and it was very hard to catch. You had to be in, you had to catch this, and then you had to catch this. I missed a lot of this one. I caught it with a big part, but I had also exited a lot here, thinking we would get a little bit of a pullback. But that's fine, because I caught a lot of it, and I did really well. So there's nothing on the momentum indicators that tells me we should get a pullback yet. That's all I'm saying. And so I'm not saying buy here. You can't, and that's why it sucks. You actually, it would be terrible advice to say, yeah, buy here. But what I'm telling you is we'll probably we have a high chance of going to here, 6,000. And then maybe you'll get a quick dip pullback. And if you get one, it's going to be like this. It'll be boop, like that. And you're going to have like 1 hour to get in. Like April 30th was a perfect example of a significant pullback. Right here. See this? Quick dip and up. That was how much of a dip? 3%. It's going to be a violent move. When it happens, when you get a pullback, it's going to be big. We could tag here and you get this kind of pullback. It'll be like a 3% down day. And then it'll just as quickly recover. And then we'll go to all-time highs. That's what's going to happen. So if you want to get in, I would recommend, well, first follow your trading plan. Okay, just follow whatever your trading plan is, you should follow that. However, I will say that if you get that dip and you feel scared, that's the time to buy. And in the case of Bitcoin, that looks like massive liquidations. So if we go, like, let's look at April 30th. Let's look at Bitcoin. Same thing. Bitcoin was interesting because here, usually before you get the takeoff, you get a bit more of a liquidation wick. So we should have went down to like 91, 90,000. This screwed me. Okay, I was screwed a little bit by this Bitcoin move because I wanted to add here. From April to the end, to basically before we moved up to 100K, I wanted to add. And I was waiting down here at like 92K. 91, 92, 90. Anywhere down here would have been great, or even 80, 88. Anywhere from 91 to 88, I was looking to buy Bitcoin because that would be the liquidation wick to take out anyone that added in the past 2 weeks. And it didn't happen. It didn't roll over. It pulled back a tiny bit, and then it just went straight up. And you can see even here, it's doing the same thing, right? This is the same as here. So you're just gonna we're gonna keep seeing stuff like this, where, let me line this up with M2. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of the M2 line. You know that's just continuing higher. Where you're gonna have, and I know I'm bouncing around, but I just wanna share this. You're gonna have like a rectangle, and then you're going to have a breakout. And then you're going to go to your next zone. And this is your trading zone. Okay? And then you're going to have another breakout. And now we're in this zone. So you just take the high. So if you want to, let's say you want to like day trade this, you just take these zones, right? There's your high and there's your low. And you just trade within that until the eventual upside breakout. So, and if you want to build long positions, you just long at the lows. But I wouldn't put stops right below the lows because you're probably going to get stopped out. Like, not guaranteed. Like here, they didn't stop you out, which was weird. But normally, in a normal upward trend that gives you no chance to enter, you do this, and then you go up. It does something like that. So 99K or something, and it'll just head up. But it didn't do that here, and it didn't do that here, which is interesting. So it might not do it again, or it might do it. But the point is that if you put your stop right here, you're probably going to get stopped out. There's a high chance. So you can't really put a stop. That's the problem. It almost has to be like an alert, and then you just wake up to the alert and you check. And you do what your trading plan says. This daily can stay overextended. Let me show you here. See here, we took off, and we just kept heading higher as divergence came in, and we got a bit of a pullback, and then we headed higher again, and then finally we got the real pullback. If we go over here, right, November 2023 from 20, so this is the rally from like 20, let's start here. Let's go even like 16. This one took a while, where we went from 16 all the way up, and then you had that liquidation. This was actually a slow slog. So this was different right here. Very different environment compared to where we are now. I don't want to use that as an example. This is more of the fast move that we're in. And you can see how even though RSI went all the way up here on a daily, we still went higher. And it didn't roll over even when RSI went all the way down back to the midpoint. And it wasn't until it went below that it had even a bit of a pullback. And then you had that rebound to take you up to the highs, stop people out, and then the real rollover, and we just had it was just a big range, right, before the next move higher. Let's go back to like here, like the 2020 rally. So here's kind of the same thing, where you consolidate, move higher quickly, consolidate, move higher quickly, and you can see how right here, Bitcoin was just, RSI was just embedded up here. And we just levitated up while it stayed embedded. And then you had a quick liquidation wick and then move higher again. And you can see in the sharp move, it never went below the 9 EMA until it started to reach this topping point where you had the TD9s and stuff, and then you had a big pullback, but still only to the 21. Bounced off that big level. And then finally, when RSI broke below the 0 line or the 55 midpoint, that was when you got your kind of pullback before then continued. Never went below my trend heuristic channel. So that's kind of like the big line in the sand for an uptrend rally, which is all the way down here at about 93. So that's what I'm seeing for S&P and Bitcoin together. They kind of trade together now. Can you reload quickly in that spot? Yeah, I mean, you can reload wherever you want. Just make sure it matches your plan. Like, and don't do something that's going to blow up your account in case there is a bit of a deeper pullback, because that's what happens in these bull market rallies is you'll get a massive bear pullback, and that could liquidate you, like right here on the S&P. You had, this was like, everybody thought they do like a -2 to -3% candle to make you think we're going back into the bear market. That not only gets people to exit longs, that also gets them to short. And then it recovers even faster, and then all those people lose money. And then it just pushes higher immediately, such that you don't even have a chance to get back in, and you're just sidelined. And that's kind of what's been happening here. And you can see on the 1 hour chart, we're also pushing higher. I don't see any indication for why we should get a pullback here. This looks like a breakout. Very bullish breakout right here. Like this looks like it just wants to continue up. I mean, I'm kind of shocked by this, honestly. This was a big. It would have been nice to get a little bit of a pullback. I mean, just something like down here, just tag. I think it would be almost healthy to tag these levels and then continue on, but it's not. It's just going up. You know, tag the 200-day moving average and bounce higher. Yeah, I mean, these kind of parabolic up moves are tricky, and if you're and that's why it's happening, because it doesn't want anybody to get in. And trust me, most people are sidelined. They really are. They got scared here, exited, and then the news did a great job of like really scaring people. It did a great job, and the market doesn't care. Okay, so that's the S&P. I'll touch base on Tesla because I've been talking about Tesla a lot. So Tesla finally broke out, right? Last show was on the 8th. So I was talking here, and Tesla broke out right after that. We've had quite a tear since then, up 20%. I was calling for buys down here in the $200 range right here. So if you bought down there, you're up 50%. I mean, Tesla is the most obvious long ever. Like how, and the amount of FUD and nonsense that was happening down here, it was so obvious that they didn't want you to buy the stock because it's going to go higher eventually. It's just, oh, it's funny at this point. So what we can do now is we can look at, okay, where, and I had this graph before and I don't know why it's gone, but I looked at, okay, here's our weekly, and I wanted to look at the entire range of Tesla. So this is kind of like the first zone, this 340 level. And honestly, I thought we had a bigger zone than this. Yeah, but it looks like that's it. So that's kind of your W breakout zone. And we're tagging the first level around this 341 at 1.618. Next one's going to be around 420. And then the final target is like $580 for Tesla. And it could potentially even go beyond that. You could even go back to here, and we can wonder if we can fully extend this out. How far can I? What if I do something like this? No, it doesn't line up like I thought. I thought we could get a decent line up here. That's kind of stretching it. You go to like a 2-week. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to go to really high time frames and just look at like where is the W. I mean, this is, if we go to a monthly, right? This is the W right here. There's the high, and then there's kind of the low, and then that's basically our 1.618 level. We tagged it and rejected. If we want to expand it a bit and say like this would be the top, you could. Yeah, and then so then that your next 2.618 would be 622. That's going to be like a major level, and then 1000 is kind of the final target. You could also use like an ABCD here, but we already basically hit that target before, so I would eliminate that one. Some part of me wants to put this in a log scale. Let me just see what it looks like. What does this look like on a log scale? So on a log scale, that's interesting. On a log scale, it points to like 3,000, 3,500. That's nuts, 10x from here. I mean, I think it's possible. And let's see time frame also. So let's say this is the beginning of the big Tesla breakout. How long did it take from the initial breakout until we kind of topped out? 2 years, while the actual main move took about a little over 1 year and 100 days. So if we assume that this is the big breakout here for Tesla, maybe we get to like 1,000, 2,000 even by July 2026. I mean, imagine that. That would be crazy. I'm not saying that's going to happen. It's just interesting. And I thought I would point that out. Like this is, you can see how we consolidated, moved higher, consolidated. How long did we consolidate for last time? 2,000 days. How long has it been this time so far? Yeah, 1,600. We need to go to here, July, also July 2026. I don't think we're gonna have to wait that long. I think with Trump in office, you know, basically running around the world trying to make peace, and Elon essentially being best friends with him, I don't see how Tesla can't take off. And if the robotaxi service goes well, and then Optimus robots come into operation in the fall and also do well, I don't see why this can't just take off and do something totally crazy like this, where it literally does a 10x. I don't know what the market cap on that would be. What would be the market cap if it did that? What the hell? It might be too much. Has anyone estimated, like, has anyone tried talking to AI about what? I'm going to ask, you know what? We're going to do this live. I'm going to ask Grok. If Tesla controlled, made robots equivalent to, let's give a low estimate. How many robots do you think Tesla could make? And how many robotaxis? Robots could Tesla make in the next 1 year? I'm just going to ask a basic question. Do you guys want to move on to other stocks? Is this not really worthwhile? If you like this, I'll keep talking about it. But if not, we can move on to other stocks. I just think this is interesting. We have to remember that markets are also forward-looking. So if there's even the possibility of this kind of stuff happening, we could see significant moves higher as long as the market is confident that it's coming. Yeah, some people say, okay, let's see, robotaxis and robots. All right, let's see. So Grok says maybe 10,000 to 50,000 robotaxis by 2026 and 12,000 robots by May 2026. Okay, you guys like Tesla. Okay, I'm just prompting Grok with a couple questions. So cool that we can do this now. And speaking of, I don't. Maybe you guys are. Who's buying Tesla while we're talking here? Keeps going up. That it went to 336, and now it's continuing higher. Let's look at Tesla on a lower time frame. So on a 4-hour, it did hit a TD8. No, not military robots. Just talking about like helper robots in factories and things like that. Okay. Wow. Huge increase in revenue potential. Big share price and market cap. Okay, so market cap would be like 1.6 trillion if it got to $500. If they can create 500,000 robotaxis and 500,000 robots, it's saying that the share price could be around like $1,000. Market cap of 3.5 trillion. Of course, Musk is claiming that. I remember Elon said that he thinks Tesla could reach a $20 trillion market cap with 100 million Optimus robots and millions of robotaxis, and that would put the share price at like $2,000. So it is possible, but Elon's always very optimistic. So I think our lower time frame targets are good, like 600, 400 and 600 are good targets, and then eventually 1,000. I think those are realistic targets, and then we might sit down here for a while before we eventually reach these higher targets. I don't think these two are going to be reached within a year to 2 years, but I think 1,000 is possible. Yeah, I will talk about crypto miners. I just wanted to talk about Tesla. I thought it was valuable. Yeah, so if you're not long Tesla, that sucks, and you should probably find a way to get long. I don't think buying right here is a good idea. Maybe we get a gap fill at like 300 or something. If I look at the 4 hour, significant potential for a pullback, but no guarantees here. I mean, if we go down to a 1 hour, you saw a brief breakdown. Really, the rest of the market has to give that you need some kind of pullback somewhere. You can't get long up here. It's dangerous. I mean, maybe you can like nibble a little bit of spot, and then if it pulls back, you just buy a bit more and you buy a bit more. I think that could be the best strategy, because otherwise you're gonna miss the move. I think this gap fill would be nice. If we can fill this gap, that would be very healthy. There's another one down here. You're not gonna get this. I don't see this happening, this 238 gap fill. But this one right down here at 300 would be very, very healthy for Tesla to fill. So if it can pull back and fill that gap, I would definitely see it as like a major long opportunity. Yeah. Okay, so that's Tesla. I just wanted to talk about that. What do I want to go to next? Boeing. Look at Boeing. Crazy move on Boeing. So somebody knew. Did you guys hear about the news that in the Middle East they bought like $100 billion worth of Boeing planes? They signed some kind of contract. Somebody knew, I think. I mean, obviously it's following the market, but this is very strong even for Boeing. Major breakout here and potential to go. Let's flip this. We're not even at a 38.2. 78.6, the shorting zone is up here. So it could go to 360 bucks, Boeing. I don't think anybody's paying attention to Boeing. It's an 80% upside. I bought it down here. On this liquidation wick, I bought it. It's one of the few things. I used to work for Boeing, so I have a retirement account with them. I bought it here, right down here. I went like 50% long with my portfolio. It was crazy. I sold a bunch here at $200, and now I'm only long 25% of that total position. But I could see still a significant upside. If we get a pullback, I will add to that position, I think. Because with Trump at the helm, I think he's gonna find deals for Boeing. He's gonna push them to beat Airbus, especially. But they're not great in other areas. But in that area, I could see, significant upside there. And 4.669 even lines up with around 375 here on this breakout. So, we could go to 220, get a slight pullback. There's your long opportunity. Then we go to 270, slight pullback, another long opportunity, and then final target around 370, which would be equivalent to, my short zone up here if you took a range of this entire thing. I don't expect Boeing to break out to new highs. I don't think it's doing innovative things like Tesla is, but I think it's going to head up there, and the rest of the market might just pull Boeing up, and it's all going to kind of head up together. It is possible. Another thing, UNH dropped off a cliff here. I think that this is interesting. We're all the way back at 2020. I don't know the story here. I don't know why this fell off a cliff. I just saw a lot of people talking about this. I'm guessing some kind of cursor, class action lawsuit, federal security law violations. Okay, price target cuts, fraud inquiry. So fraud. I don't see that as long-term damaging to the stock. So I think this is an interesting play. I'm not saying long it right now, but maybe have it on your radar. This could bounce back relatively quickly once the dust kind of settles. But this is a major breakdown on like a monthly chart right here. So monthly 200-month moving average is a major support. So if we hit that, I would definitely long that. I'm going to put an alert. But it looks very bad. It does look very bad on this monthly chart, right? Look at that breakdown. Boom, destruction. We want to see, the key we want to see is a reversal eventually. So I want to see on like a 4-hour, this break to the other side, put in some kind of W, and then maybe consider longs. I think right now, if you buy, you're going to be catching a falling knife. Like it's a bit dangerous, but I thought I'd put it on your radar if you're interested. Okay. What did you guys ask? Beautiful. Yeah, it is a beautiful short. Look at that gap down. You would have had to have been psychic or just shorted right here. You could have wrote it down, I guess, on this past week, and it would have been good. Do I want to talk about any other stocks? Did you guys ask about anything you wanted to look at? Somebody asked about crypto miners. Can you reload quickly? Somebody asked about crypto miners, right? Scott did. You asked about crypto miners. Okay. Let's look at Bitcoin first, and then I'll talk about crypto miners. But before I do, I'm going to have to do this. I got to do it because I told Brian to do it a bunch of times. He didn't do it. Hopefully he'll do it tomorrow. So school is open 4 more days. We decided we were going to start it this week. We decided to delay it a little bit to give a couple people more time. We're going to start on Monday, the May 19th. So if you know anybody that's interested, just go to rationalinvestor.com, click enroll, and it should take you. It's going to say like it's not going to show anything for me because it knows that I already did everything. But if let's say I open it in a private window, so you'll see if you just click enroll, there you go. Level 1, Q2, 997. Comes with all this cool stuff. You guys know, most of you are taking the course. So, but if you know anybody that wants to get in, you can get the referral affiliate. You can sign up for the affiliate thing. We have an affiliate. You gotta scroll to the bottom. I don't know why it's not on the top, but it's down here. You just click affiliates, and then you click become an affiliate, and then you just fill in your information, and you get 15% commission, and you could even give it to your friend as a discount off the course. It'll be credited to you after like a month, but yeah, for like $1,000 course, that's 150 back to you, or you can take it off for your friend. So just something I thought I'd make you guys aware of that maybe you didn't know about. It's all kind of laid out here about the affiliate stuff, best-selling, blah, blah. Okay, so there's that. I wanted to just give my little spiel. All right, back to the charts. Yes, and Zerikella asked about the crypto portfolio. Okay, so the crypto portfolios, they were not being updated. All of them are linked to like Excel spreadsheets, and I was updating mine, but Brian was having trouble updating his because he trades just so many coins. And in the past, we had the portfolios linked on the exchange, linked to the exchanges. Like we had a API to Bittrex, for example, and everything everything auto updated. And now Brian is kind of trading off exchanges, except now last I checked, he put a bunch on Kraken. So there is a bunch on Kraken, but there's no link anymore between those. And so we either need to make a new link, and then the API is linked to all of that, and then everything auto updates and you get accurate information, or we just thought for now we will remove them because they're not giving accurate information. That was the issue. But if you're really interested, maybe and you have time, maybe you can help us develop that link and set something up to bring those portfolios back, because they do exist, and I do think they're value added. There's the updating them and keeping everything up to date with so many coins is a little bit of a headache. That's why. All right, back to look at Bitcoin recovering. Look at that. So the key is, as long as RSI is embedded up here, like it's going to be hard to roll over. It could just continue, and this is classic bull movements. This is classic, like, I'm going to continue higher and I don't care. That's what this is. And it's just a reflection of the market. This was actually an obvious long here. You had a TD 7 and 8 on the 4 hour. Like I bought a lot here just now, like a significant amount. And I'm leveraged long. I went leveraged on Solana, Rune, Optimism, and Sui in my CoinM margin account. So, and everything is set at break even, basically at the bottoms now. Yeah, so like Solana, Bitcoin should just push higher and break out again here. You know, that's all it's gonna do. It's gonna just keep doing that. Where is my? Wait a second. Where is my chart? This is not my traditional chart. Where's my chart with my lines? Kind of annoyed about this. Why are none of my lines here? Okay, I'll just redo it. It's also not my traditional. There, okay. Something like this. That. Okay. So then same thing applies to Bitcoin here as the S&P, where we tagged our 1.618, and now we're pausing because look at this range high, like this, and then this. I'm going to change to, yeah, here. So we paused because we're in the short zone of the previous range. 786, 886. Generally, if you want to short, that's your zone to short. Like this is that area. So that's why we're pausing here. But you're not going to get the short and pullback. It's not going to happen. You're going to get, instead, a move up to here, which is right above the highs, 109, between 109 and 110 to 11,000. That's going to be your next pause. And then you're going to maybe get a bit of a pullback, and we're going to sit down here, kind of like how we did here. That's what's going to happen. Honestly, that's a little bit of an aggressive standpoint. So I could lower this, right, until the 1.618 lines up with these levels. And that would be like a more conservative standpoint. There's two ways to look at this. This is like an aggressive, and this is more conservative, where we line up the 1.618 with the first stop. So that then you could say that, okay, we're going to hit 108 is going to be your next area, and we might go above it to like 110. It's always a range. I don't like giving specific targets. Like this is going to be your next zone that you're going to hit. And then, you know, you're going to go to your next zone, which is here. And then you're going to go to your next one, which is here, 120, 123. And then you're going to go to your next zone, which is up here, 130 to 140 area. And that's going to be possibly your topping zone. That's where you're going to see significant pullbacks and shenanigans and that kind of stuff. And the time frame on that is only, let's bring up M2 money supply. Time frame is very short. Make this smaller. So this kind of, we can even kind of line it up. And you can see how it lines up, but it does outpace my level by a bit. So we might go, you know, according to this, maybe go to 150. But your time frame for this top out area is only another 58 days. That's it. And we should theoretically be at all-time highs in, if this matches, in less than 2 weeks here. That's what this tells us. So, you know, I don't want anyone to FOMO in or anything like that. I'm just sharing what the chart is saying and looking at historical perspectives of what things are showing. It does look like it wants to go to like 155. That's kind of crazy. That's definitely higher than my aggressive target here. Most aggressive is 141,000. If we go to a log chart, it does change things a little bit. And we could go to a weekly. You can see how on a log, ABCD points to about 144,000 of this range from the breakout in September last year. So that's what that kind of points to. Everything kind of lines up with that 100, and I would say anything over between 130 and 150K, that's a very good profit taking area on Bitcoin. You don't have a lot of upside left on this, honestly. It's not a ton. Let me show you. Just like that. That's it. 36%. That's all you're getting. And I bet you guys think that sucks. So let's look at things that will give you more than that. If a chaos level is only wicked, does it mean price should go to the next level? What do you mean by that? I don't actually know what you mean when you say that. But is only wicked doesn't mean price should go to the next level. You mean like, so just keep in mind, this final level is a chaos level, but this 1.618, 2.618, these are extension, Fibonacci extensions. That's all they are. I wouldn't call them chaos levels. The final thing is the chaos level, 4.669. That's a chaos thing. But 2.618 and 1.618 are not. And honestly, you could even make this a fib extension. You can make this 4.618. And it works the same. It's just a little bit different. It's really not that different. I don't like to give specific numbers. I like to give like a range, and I'll just say, okay, in this range, this is where you probably want to take profits. Okay. I mean, Solana, so you had that pullback, right? So I literally went long on leverage at 169. Right here. Yeah, I'm here long. Not perfect, but pretty good. Now, why did I do that? I took the range here. So I know that we're in a range, and as I said, I want to buy the bottom of the range. If we went lower, it's fine. I can add. I'm not going like full position, but I am going enough that it would make me happy if it's successful. So I take the range, previous high and low, and I say, okay, where's my 78.6 and 88.6? And they're right here. So I have one buy at 78.6, I have another buy at 88.6, and then if we go over the lows, for this particular leverage long, I would stop out. For spot, I would hold it. But for leverage, if we go below the low here, I would stop out, and then I would have to, you know, hopefully I would see it and get an alert, and then I can reconsider and try to get back in. But if not, then it's fine. It's just leverage. But for spot, I wouldn't put a stop. I would just hold it. But for leverage, this is how I would trade it. I'd look at the previous high and low, since I know I'm in a range, and I know historically we come down to the 78.6, 88.6 levels, and then I just buy there. And that's what I did. And I did that on Solana, and I did it on Rune. So Rune actually went a little bit below. Yeah, Maroon went a little bit below, but luckily I was online and I saw I got stopped out and I just jumped right back in because I saw it reversing. So Maroon, great entry for me at 1 point. My entry is 1.85. And then we've got Sui. I think Sui also had a pretty deep pullback. Yeah. So this kind of pullback, this is a more traditional bull market pullback where the range is here and we go below the range to stop everyone out. And that's what Sui did. Sui or Solana till end of bull market. I mean, those are some that I'm holding. In my spot account, one that I'm looking at and that I bought is API. Wait, I pull up my spot account. Hold on. Price hit that level but doesn't close on it. Yeah, it just has to hit the level. It doesn't have to close on that level. Yeah, so I bought this one, API 3, and I think it's still in a decent buying location. Yeah, so API 3, I like. It's still kind of down here, and it came right down here and retested this range, and that's what I want to see for a nice bullish continuation. And it should at least go to $1.50. That's like from this little W. But ideally, this is your like huge W right here. And then that means, I don't like this thing. Wait a second. There. And then that means that you're going to $4. So that's a 400% return. So that one I'm holding in spot, right? And then another one is this Metis coin. And you can see that was like way higher before. It had a bit of a pullback. And this is your like initial W. Like that. We've got 28 target. But if we go to like a weekly chart, there's no really nice W here. So I don't know how well. I don't like when there's no nice W's. That means that it might not perform that well. But if I just take this whole range right here, this is something I do when I don't have a W. I just take the whole range and I see what gets me to the 1.618 level where it rejected on like a weekly chart. And then I say, okay, that's kind of my range. And then I could say, okay, this is my 4.618 level. So that gives me 121% upside. Not the greatest, but that's when I took a small long on. I put, so no, I want it the other way. There. So this is 78.6 also we can look at. So 57 would be a take profit zone. What else do I have? I bought DOT and Doge and Popcat and Cardano. Actually, I have a lot of Cardano, surprisingly. Yeah, you could see Cardano just kind of consolidating down here, and it had this retest. This was my entry. So it came down. My entry was right here, 75.75. So I got filled there, and I'm very happy with that. And big profits now. Very happy with my 0.75 entry on Cardano, which was basically a little bit above these previous highs. So this was a major support zone. And this is a spot position. This is not leverage. You could see how this was like a major area. And I thought we could go there and even go as low as here. And we did. We went to both. This zone was basically my buy area. And you can see how we just tagged it. You got a couple seconds in there. How long did you get in there? You got 30 minutes. I had a limit order and it was filled. That was all. And now it's heading up again. And it's still in an uptrend on the daily chart, right? Just like this. So I'm a bull until this breaks down. If this breaks down, then we've got a problem. But I just don't see anything telling me to be a bear. I don't see it. Okay. what else do I want to talk about? You asked about crypto miners. So we've got a bunch of those. CLSK, clear bull trend here. You know, I've been talking about these for a while, especially down here. You could say the 1.618 tag was right there. And this is the final target, 4.669 up here around 17. I could see that in like a month, you know, sometime June, July period, end of June, beginning of July. Whenever Bitcoin kind of tops out, I could see this heading up there. Riot, they're all kind of the same. So we're heading higher, and you've got whatever kind of lines up with that 1.618, and that gives you a target of 14. A nice double, almost a double from here. Iron, I heard Iron has the best like mining, the cheapest cost. Now keep in mind, so we've hit this level, right? We hit this basically this 1.618 level. I went a little bit beyond it with Iron. We might consolidate in this area for a while. We did hit a TD7, TD8, so we could, there's a chance that we could just play around in this zone for like a week or so. We'll just do this, before we then push up. And then we do it again, pull back longer, and then we go up. Something like that. I don't think it's going to go into August. I think it's going to be faster than that, maybe something like this, and then push up, and boom, you're there by July. Something like that. See how fast it came down? Look at how fast that happened. It can happen just as fast on the way up. Dot, ApeCoin, Monacoin, and Filecoin. Should I switch them to other coins or wait? Well, why would you wait to break even? Just hold them and set your targets. They're gonna head higher. But if you don't believe in them and you think you have other coins that you think will do better, then just rotate into those other coins. I mean, everything's gonna move up. Like, I don't know why I'm talking about individual stuff here. Let's go to the others index. This is my big chart. And I posted this in the Discord and I talked about this. And I said this may, if we followed this previous run and the one before on altcoins, if we have the same slope as these, then we should actually hit the highs by May 23rd. I think it could be a little bit longer. It could be June sometime. But if we followed the other runs, we should hit it in like a week. But I don't believe that. I don't know, Scott. I'm not really sure. That's tough. I only know about like what 4.669 is pointing to. I would be surprised if they hit their all-time highs. Like if they go to all-time highs, I would be surprised. I think it's just maybe too many people are expecting that, so it won't happen. But this is the others index, and you can see how we hit 1.618. This is basically everything excluding Ethereum and like the top crypto coins. So this applies for anything other like the top 10. We rejected here. Next level is 2.618, and then we go to the 4.618 level, which is like chaos level, sort of. And I think this provides a very clear roadmap, and you can apply this to any altcoins, anything in the crypto space, basically. And you can see BTCD has also confirmed things. Might get a bit of a bounce here. We've got a TD7 and 8, but we did come up, had a TD7 and 8, which I talked about last week. I mentioned this. We had a quick drop. Now we're having a little bit of a rebound. And we should then get the next drop after the rebound completes. So a bit more of a rebound here, and then the next drop down to like 59%. See it like that, something like that. All right, 59 to this major support zone. And then you can head lower to 58. The big altcoin season is going to happen if we break down from this uptrend. So far we haven't. This is like baby altcoin season. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There's no massive altcoin season until this thing really breaks down. And it hasn't yet. I can go to a weekly chart. You can see how the weekly still kind of in a uptrend. Starting to break down, but nothing yet. I want to see this MACD go negative. So just understand that this could take a little bit more time, and we have to have a significant breakdown. Yeah, I can look at HUT quickly. It's looking decent. Yeah, $28 it could go to. I mean, basically all the miners are targeting around 70 to 100% returns from here, from the current level, and from the lows, basically anywhere in here, you were looking at 150. Now you've got 70 to 80. Already moved quite a bit. So yeah. Do you guys have questions about anything else? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna call it. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes. Ugh. Feeling a little bit sleepy. Ugh. But the main points of the video are, you know, don't stand in front of this freight train that is this market. I would seriously not recommend that. You're gonna get run over. Yeah, look at this, just up only. Same with Bitcoin. Up only 1,400 now. Yeah, so hopefully you guys understand my stance. I think it's been the same since the bottom. I don't think I've changed that much. Hopefully it's been helpful the last couple of weeks for the people that have been watching. If you want to do something similar to this, you know, consider joining the school. I'm gonna flash that one more time. Consider joining. All right. We've got Josh teaching the class along with Brian doing the pre-recorded lectures. It's available for another 4 days. Just go here, sign up, $9.97. If you already exist as a TRI member, you want to refer someone, you can sign up as an affiliate. We've got affiliates all the way at the bottom here. Affiliate, and then you can refer your friends, and you can get 15% back from whatever they pay. If they buy the 1 through 3 package, you get a lot of money. It's like $600 or something. So yeah, that's open. You also get free TRI membership with the school sign up, as you guys know. I think everybody watching kind of knows, but something to consider. I think it's worth it, especially with the hands-on with Brian and the automated lectures, and then Josh, TRI veteran, in the group tutorials available all the time to help you guys with whatever you need help with. I think it's really great value. And the classes these days, I don't know why, but they're not that big. Last semester was like 30 something. So, you know, it's definitely a good like ratio of teacher to student, especially for the price. Okay, hopefully you guys have a great rest of the week and amazing weekend. Don't stress too much about the markets. Don't worry if you're not in yet. Just wait for that big red day. There will be a big red day. When that big red day happens, that's when you buy. So just wait for that. I want to buy right now. Okay. See you guys. See you on the Discord. Bye, everybody.